All right, well, moving on over to another messy case. So Quinn filed for a restraining order, alleging in the request that Christian Richard, her estranged husband, went on a violent rampage months before their blowout argument that led to him being taken into custody. In September of 2023, she alleges that they got into a disagreement and said that he had faked a suicide attempt to see if she cared about him. Last month, the two got into another bombshell argument, and according to Christine's restraining order filing, she claimed that he threw a bag of dog poop at her on March 18th when she told him that she was dissatisfied with their marriage and his alleged lack of effort in being a true partner. The next day, he was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. Us Weekly confirmed on March 20th that he allegedly threw a bag with glass in it at Christine, and the glass had missed Christine and had instead hit their 3-year-old son, Christian. He was taken into custody wearing a bathrobe and released the very next day. He subsequently returned to the couple's shared home, breaking an emergency restraining order that she had been granted, and cops arrived at the property on March 21st and arrested him for a second time. He's posted a $30,000 bond and was released several hours later. But then he later filed following his second release, he filed to obtain a restraining order against Christine and claimed that she is trying to gain an upper hand in the potential divorce custody case. Lots going on here, lots of restraining orders being thrown around, a few arrests in the mix. What kind of happens next now that they have both filed restraining orders against one another?
This is a really sad case that we've been covering on Legally Us. And I gotta tell you, Christina, I'm team Christine, but I think she has made some legal strategic mistakes in this case. And this is why. Obviously, we know that Christian was arrested not once, but twice. But he actually went and he filed his restraining order first. He hired a very aggressive lawyer who's actually sued Bravo before, and the same lawyer who's representing Rachel in her lawsuit against Tom and Ariana. So we know he's aggressive, he's experienced, and he knows how to use the press. So we saw that Christian's allegations came out, and he said that she was a gold digger and that she was just using this to gain leverage in their family law dispute, to get custody over their son, Christian. So, if I were representing Christine, I would want to file first and get that story out there. And then there was also an allegation that Christian was bugging and tracking Christine. And Christine called law enforcement to her hotel in West Hollywood. But the issue with that was it was LAPD who originally arrived to their Los Angeles home, arrested Christian, and gave Christine that restraining order. But when Christine moved out to a hotel in West Hollywood, a different jurisdiction, it was LA County Sheriff's who came. And because they weren't familiar with the case, and because it didn't seem like Christine had a lawyer there and really had the evidence to show it, law enforcement just came and they left the hotel. So if I were Christine and I want to make that type of allegations, then it may well be true that Christian is tracking her. You really want to make sure that you provide the evidence to law enforcement, because now the parties are going to go to a restraining order hearing in a couple weeks. And I think Christian's lawyers are going to say, well, there's no evidence to support these allegations. You're contacting law enforcement. You're making things up. This is all fabricated. Again, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with that, but I think Christine needs to be prepared for that argument at the restraining order.
Yeah. But is Christian in a lot of trouble for violating the emergency restraining order, though, going back to that home and kind of breaking and entering? And is he going to be in a separate legal mess for doing that?
He is. So we've covered restraining orders here on the show, and we know that there's that temporary restraining order. But even before that, there's what's called an emergency protective order. So that's something that law enforcement can get, usually last week or so. So police officers at the Los Angeles Police Department did get that for Christine. Christian violated it. He came back to the house. So law enforcement arrested him a second time. Now, it's generally just a misdemeanor to violate an emergency protective order. But it seems like that temporary emergency protective order has now expired. I think the permanent restraining order hearing is April 17th. So that's going to be a mini trial. Christian is going to show up with his lawyer. He's going to present his side of the case. And we know that Christine has to as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what a judge does. Does the judge grant a restraining order protecting Christine and her son, or Does the judge say, well, this is just a family law dispute? I don't think a restraining order is necessary because they're going to be handling this in family court, whether it's child support, spousal support, and custody. So it's going to be a really big hearing for both Christine and Christian in a couple weeks.
What a mess. Oh, man.